So let's see, we can start one off. The issue is, what do we want to play here to finish off our evening? Do I wish to give it one more solid go with Ignis? Or do I maybe swap into one of the other backups we had planned? Haven't tried a Chabriatos run in a while, so that's something that we could approach. In general, doing like a hunter character could bring us towards either going with Che or Fedhas. Keep our avenues a bit open. Wasn't expecting needing to be making this decision. So now I'm just at a bit of a loss. I've been having fun with Hexslinger. You know, I haven't actually tried Hexslinger at all, so sure, let's try experimenting with something new here. And in fact, the one nice thing about that is it leans pretty well into potentially going with Chabriatos, because we can do a kind of caster ranged user, and we'll have the stats on both sides to kind of support that. So the question is, do I want to go in with my usual favorite character for Chabriatos, a Naga here? Historically, on this channel, we have not had very much success with Naga Hunters. It's a style of run that I thought would actually do fairly well. You know, it makes up for the fact that you can't move very quickly by instead shooting enemies as they approach you, so you kind of stay in the safe zone and let them do all the hard work there. But hey, sure, let's give it another good old college try here and see how it goes, shall we? As for names, I feel like there aren't that many snakes in fiction. Maybe, not sure if this is spelled right or if I've used this name before, but let's just go with Ouroboros, shall we? Naga's tough. You had one good run with Alchemist on him. Yeah, the Alchemist start is usually what I go for on my Nagas of Che. In general, just spell casting, because then you end up having the strength and intelligence to switch into heavier armor later in the game and still be a major blaster caster. But hey, let's try it out here. And then we have... Oh, I did Hunter. One moment. Am I sure I want to bend this character? Yes, because muscle memory took control of us there. So let's try that once more from the top, shall we? We wanted to work out Hexslinger and see how that goes. So we start off with a sling here, and then Jinx Bite I haven't actually used yet as one of the new spells in this version. So while it holds, they'll follow up, our spirits will follow up on our attack. If it overcomes their willpower, they will suffer minor damage and be drained by the sprite's playful malice. Fey assistance is fickle, however, they cannot be beckoned unless a susceptible victim is visible and will depart rapidly once no more remain. It also reduces our willpower for some time. Isn't that fun? Okay, well, very interesting. Does mean we start out with a sling, which is a little bit less than ideal. But we'll see how she goes. The question is, do I want to start with any magic training? Need a little bit to get Jinx Bite operational, though we may kind of be in a good spot by the time we level up. But we can spread our training just a little bit thin and across the board. Maybe we'll start with something like that for the moment, shall we? And then set up for min delay on slings. Oh, and of course, far be it for me to forget the rest of our starting procedure here, especially grabbing that seed. I know the last seed was supposed to be the God Seed, then it ended up being a bit chaotic with the Fire Dragon in D7, as well as all sorts of other fun surprises, but this one's going to be different, of course. Sorceral to Hibernation, Swiftness, and Pass Wall. I mean, a nice collection of utility is nice here. I think we are going to die here. A few more friends than I was expecting. There we go. It's a great start on our Hexslinger. Oh me oh my. At least this time around we have a little bit of a better idea as to what approach we want to take, so I can just very quickly get ourselves set up once again here. Holy moly. Don't mind me. Excuse me, pardon me. Swap back into that because I did not mean to accidentally put our sling away, but that's fine. So, you know, I had big words about that last seed, but this time for real. This is the seed of honor and glory, from whence all seeds came. And hopefully we don't get completely swamped by enemies early on. So as long as it's a bit on the slower side, and especially if we can use our spit to kind of deal with single threat enemies, then we should do fairly well for ourselves. You know, ring mail is not that heavy of an armor, so I'll at least entertain the idea of swapping into that early on. And this is a bit more like it. Still quite a few more enemies than I'd like to face on our initial journey into the depths here, but that's fine, especially since we are able to make it through in one piece. Serpent Talisman can turn ourselves even more snake-like. We so desire. Interesting. There we go. I think I will start by putting points into dexterity. It's tempting to go with intelligence to kind of work a bit more directly with the spellcasting approach. But again, I guess we're a bit more of a hybrid character, so I'm not sure exactly what that will look like. It's okay. I beckoned some vexing sprites to accompany my attacks, and it worked. Okay, maybe not the best example, because I have no idea how much it helped there. That seemed to be fairly close to the damage we were dealing before, but definitely looking forward to experimenting with that a little bit more. Dog, I heard you were a snake, so I put a snake in your snake, so you can snake while you snake, indeed. Holy moly. Well, let's get Jinx Bite going nice and early here this time. And assumedly, it helped out with that little encounter. Hard to tell. The fact that it saps enemies a bit. Let's just reread that description real quick. They are drained, so that's the drain effect. Just want to make sure it wasn't just sharing a sprite. Holy moly, a plus 11 Morning Star of draining. That is almost worth just changing everything. I feel like this could very well carry us, especially during the early parts of the run. I'm going to turn that on and have it training. I may come to regret that. I think we're spreading ourselves a little thin, especially for just how early in the game we are. Early on, generally you want to focus on just getting like your main attack skill up and running fully, so you can kill things quickly enough to not be overwhelmed and swamped in the first few floors. However, we're definitely not taking that lesson to heart. Another snake talisman. Oh me, oh my, to what do I owe the pleasure? And then we have an altar of Wujian, Yered, and Quaslal. I don't think I'll take that bet, largely because Quaslal has already been won with in the series here. But also, I wouldn't be super happy with the other choices there either, so I'm happy to leave them by the wayside for now. Do it, let us get our IDing going a little bit earlier than we normally do. I mean, Scroll of Blinking is pretty huge. Potion of Haste, I mean, is nice and all. If we could use that early on, especially if we do end up finding and going with Che, then we'll definitely want to use that haste sooner rather than later, since we won't be able to do so under the guidance of the almighty snail. But we shall see, I guess, how the next little while here goes. If you could throw a very strong, unique, or out-of-depth monster at me, DCSS, that would be great. Which I feel like is maybe an evil I shouldn't be wishing upon myself, and I may come to regret that, but if that does end up being the case, then I guess I fully deserve what's coming to me, so that's fair enough. Ooh, we get ignition and ignite poison. I mean, that's pretty nice. Again, we're a little too across the board here to really start taking advantage of that right away, but can at least note it down for our future. And I've swapped that Morningstar over to being our hot swap because even without training, I feel like the plus 11 could carry it. At least for the early parts of the dungeon here. Okay, we can't really run away from these sons of guns. Oh, so I probably should have hasted first thing instead of waiting this long. Oh, we have another orc priest coming? Oh no. Well, we got a potion of curing. It almost made us survive. We went to -1. Oh, 3 orc priests. That's perfect. That's what you want to see. This is generally, you know, I touched briefly upon how our previous Naga hunters have gone. It's this every time. Oh man. Could have hasted earlier there though. So that's probably the right avenue to have taken, especially since with the haste, we may have been able to just walk away from the impending doom before us, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. Oh me oh my, what a day this has been. And now I'm even questioning further the whole concept of continuing on, because we have less and less time as each of these runs draws to a nasty conclusion, but maybe we go once more into the breach, shall we? Oh me oh my. As my mind and soul slowly falls apart, we continue forward. Once more into the abyss. Oh gosh, I hope not. I mean, we'll make do. Anything that comes our way, we'll do our best and see what happens, but unlike the Minotaur that by some miracle was able to get through just by largely virtue of being a pretty strong base character, a slow Naga against Sent to the Abyss is pretty much a guaranteed avenue to horrendous death. Okay. Oh, I don't like that the bat came around. I was kind of relying on the fact that we were largely able to fight these sons of guns one at a time. Holy moly. Well, almost ended the run before it even had a chance to begin, but somehow scraped by. Maybe that is I was gonna say a fortuitous preliminary I don't know, vision as to what's to come. Get through all your hardships early, and then the rest of the run will be a walk in the park or something like that. Then immediately came across even more new friends, so bit my tongue lest I doom myself to another early grave. But hey, somehow managed to pull through that. And what have we got here? Rue, the Shining One, or Jivya? We've already done our victory with Rue. Just double checking that in my little doc here. It's blindingly white. But the Shining One and Jivya are both on the list, and if I can get Jivya early on, that's huge. I was able to. Okay, well, that may change some things. Unfortunately, it means that we're not going to be finding much on the ground. So I guess that's the interesting dichotomy of Jivya. Normally, it's like quite a miracle to get Jivya this early on. The downside is we'll have pretty much 0 consumables. Normally, you at least have the pile that you managed to collect before making your way into slime. But here on D1, when we've already made our bed, it's definitely going to be an interesting endeavor, shall we say. But again, strong enough that maybe and likely we won't need the consumables. So there is that. Holy moly. As soon as we have the, I mean, Slimify, I don't know how useful it will be. If I'm remembering the names right, I believe that that's the one that coats our weapon. But the slimy version of Frozen Ramparts is incredibly strong, and especially early on in the game. And so that could very much carry us to victory. Oozamancy, there we go. Just need a little bit more PD where that is actually castable, but it's a startle, right? Let's learn Jinx Bite, I guess. And we'll see how that goes. I guess I should have started with my Poison Spit a bit earlier in the encounter, just because it's almost guaranteed to kill a poison vulnerable enemy. It's fine. As the mutations begin. +6 AC is huge. That might actually be enough to carry us on its own. At least for the starting part of the run here. Holy moly. Well, this very quickly changed gears into a whole new approach for the character. But I'm excited to get Jivya early for sure. It's quite rare that it happens. In fact, the last solid attempt that we had at Jivya fell under similar circumstances of a lucky fated altar. And so hopefully this one can do as well as, and then just slightly better than that one. Because if I recall, I think our last attempt with Jivya made it pretty far. Might have been all the way to Zot before dying. Though I don't have a perfect recollection of the events. So I guess we shall see if we can recapture even some small aspect of that magic, shall we? Definitely throw on the gloves here right away. There we go. Oozamancy is now fully operational. And not too shabby. Right, I should be spitting at you, my friend. Fantastic. Wait, do I need to move? How do I put out the fire? There we go. Oh me, oh my. I was quite worried that that was just going to be a slow and certain death. So, yikes. Actually, Poison Breath probably does nothing against our imp friend here. I also didn't actually really confirm. What type of wand do you have? Wand of Flame. That's fine. Thought we'd be caught in a battle of attrition for the rest of our lives as each of us just pings lightly at the other, but fortunately, it's not end up being the case. As we continue forward for honor and glory. Holy moly. I probably should have been slightly more cautious as to how I approached the fight with the ogre there. A couple of nasty hits could definitely leave us in a less than ideal situation. That's fine. Do some Jinx Bite against our black bear friend. And holy moly. Somehow, some way, somehow, we are just barely managing to keep our way crawled into potentially surviving here. I don't have anything melee to deal with you, hey? I guess we just have to keep lightly smacking you with rocks, with more pebbles, I guess, from afar. Perfect. If I can swap into a better ranged weapon sooner rather than later, that would be amazing. Like, yeah, I don't really want to fight down into Vesa with this. Except if I use the slime. Then we might be okay. Maybe, there we go. Hoping our damage output was enough that even an enraged Vesa wouldn't be too much of a problem, and that was indeed the case. At the end of it all there. Do you want all Oozamancy again against Blork? Named uniques. Worth being a little bit cautious of. But holy moly. It has been an eventful start to our run for sure. I have to imagine this is not the entire floor. Apparently it is, just a bit of a weirder shape to it, as well as a much smaller area than I'm used to.